video, I'm going to be comparing these two sounds, n and ng. We're going to be talking about them just in isolation, we're going to compare them in words, and we're going to talk about them in sentences. So by the end of today's video, you will be able to pronounce them both. If you're looking for feedback on your pronunciation, I do have an online pronunciation course that offers daily feedback on recordings. So if you're interested in that and you're interested in learning more about pronunciation, then go and check that out. The link is down below in the description for you. So let's start with the n sound firstly. Or let's go back a bit, okay? There are three nasal sounds in English. And okay? We're not going to focus on today, but we're just going to start with n. So with n, what you need to do is use the tip of your tongue here, make it come up to the top of your mouth between your teeth and your alveolar ridge. Your alveolar ridge is the part of your mouth that kind of starts going up, and it has some bumps and lines and ridges on it, okay? You need to be between that part that goes up, okay, and your front teeth. N. Now, if you do a n like that, it will just sound like n. It's quite hard to do, right? So we need to create a kind of block, okay? We create a block, and the noise, the vibration here, the noise should travel out of our nose, okay? So if I try and do a n, if I pinch my nose, it will change the sound. If it doesn't, then that means that I'm not doing the sound correctly. You must be able to pinch your nose in order to get that sound. If it's making no change, like ah, it means it's coming out of your mouth. Is a nasal sound, it should be coming out of your nose. So with your tongue, you need to be creating a kind of block at the front of your mouth. Let me clear my mouth. N. So you see, I'm not just using the tip of my tongue here, and it goes up. I'm creating a block all at the front so that no sound can travel out of my mouth. The sound has to travel out of my nose. N. The second sound, is a little bit different, but the same thing kind of applies. We're still creating that block. So imagine you're going to do like a g sound. So you should be using back here. The back of your tongue should come up. G. Okay? Instead of releasing it, g, we're going to hold it. And again, the noise should be traveling out of here. You see? If it weren't, it's ah. Right? It means it's coming out of here. Must travel out of your nose. So again, imagine you're doing like a g sound, g, but hold it. It's blocking my nose. Anyway, you get the idea. So let's practice with some words. Thin. Tongue between your teeth. Thin. Create that block. Thin. Thing. It's at the back here. Thin. Thing. Thin. Thing. Band. Banged. With this one, it's a bit trickier because you've got the d there as well. Banged. Then your tongue kind of slides and it does that d. Banged. Band. Ban. Bang. Ban. Bang. Bang. And the last pair, hand, hanged. Remember that? So at the back here, imagine you're doing like a g, like hang, g. But hold it. Hanged. hand, hanged. Hopefully you've got that difference by now. I know I'm very repetitive, but I really just want to drive home the difference between these two because people really do get confused by them. Now, if you're thinking, but Emma, when I'm on the phone or when I'm talking to someone or if I'm on Zoom or Skype or whatever people use, I sometimes can't tell the difference between sin and sing and thin and thing and so on. And I will admit it is difficult to understand it, especially if you're on the phone and you can't see the person's mouth. So you need to do one of two things. If you can see the person's mouth, then focus on the position. So sin, sing, for example, they look very different. Sin, sing. If you're on the phone or something like that and you can't see the person's mouth, then you've got to go by context. It's what natives do, it's what non-natives should do, it's what everyone should do, so you've just got to go by context. Now for some sentences. Listen carefully and repeat. It was very thin. It was very thin. What's that thing? What's that thing? Who's your next of kin? Who's your next of kin? A next of kin, by the way, is either a relative or close partner, something like that. So if you go to a hospital, if you're in an accident or something, they will probably look on the database for your next of kin. So maybe like your husband, your wife, or a family member, to call them and let them know that you're in the hospital. So, your next of kin. And the last sentence, he's the king. He's the king. One important thing I want to mention before we finish this lesson is that you may hear this ng sound pronounced differently depending on the person's accent. So particularly if it's at the end of words and if it's an ing one, for example, like talk, talking, you may hear some speakers saying talking and still saying it like a g, talking. So if you compare it to talking, talking. Some speakers also just cut the ng altogether and pronounce it more like a n sound. Talking, talking, or talking. So you have talking, talking, and talking. They are three different ways that you may hear, particularly across the UK. That's it for today's lesson. I hope you've enjoyed it and you've learned something new. If you are interested in improving your pronunciation, then I do have an online pronunciation course. It is linked below in the description. Go and check it out. If you've enjoyed this video and learnt something new, then remember to give it a like. It really helps out. If you're brand new, then remember to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and you'll be notified every single time I post a new video or I go live. I also forgot to mention at the start of this video that I do have a brand new podcast out. I will be changing my content a little bit, so I will be posting twice on YouTube every month and twice as a podcast. So it will basically go YouTube, podcast, YouTube, podcast, YouTube, podcast. And the podcast is for people who have at least an intermediate level of English. It is a very relaxed, chilled podcast, so don't treat it very seriously. Don't expect grammar lessons or pronunciation lessons on there. It is just me with a microphone and 45 minutes to spare, and I just talk rubbish and people like it. So if you're interested in that, it is called The Procrastination Podcast. There is more information in the description if you want to go and check that out. Finally though, I will end the video here. I hope you have enjoyed it and I will see you next lesson. Bye bye!